Welcome to Matt's Corner of Gem Cutting. I will be faceting a disco ball out of this X cube. An X cube is 4 right angle prisms glued together to make a cube. The edges of where these prisms come together create an X shape, hence the name X cube. The inner edges of the prisms have a dichroic coating. The light shining through one face of the cube splits into red, green, and blue light beams coming out one of the other faces. What is interesting is that as the cube is rotated, the light beams mix, causing some other fun colors to show up. The idea for this piece is to make a faceted sphere that will cause light passing through it to split into a variety of colors, making a sort of rainbow disco ball. To be able to facet the piece, it is first attached to a dop stick which will hold the stone to the machine head during the faceting process. The X cube already has an X running through the center of the piece. Aligning the marks that I drew on the edges of the dop with the X helps centering the dop to the piece go fairly easy. I use glue to adhere the piece to the dop and use some baking soda to help strengthen and set the glue. The design that I am using to facet this stone is called Santa's Little Helper 2. It is a design by Bob Keller. I've used the design once before when someone asked me to cut a sphere out of some old Manhattan Project shield glass. This design was one of the few perfectly spherical designs that I could find. I like the way the shield glass turned out in it, and I am very interested to see what effect the design will have using it for the X cube. I start the stone by faceting the girdle outline at 90 degrees. The girdle outline won't be left in the finished piece, but provides the framework for placing the facets starting from the midline of the sphere and working to the outer end. One side of the sphere is faceted at a time. To ensure that I will have enough room for the second half, I mark the midpoint between the ends of the piece to be the midline of the sphere. The first set of facets is cut to this midpoint, and the rest of the sets of facets are cut in their cutting order to their proper meet points. Each half of the sphere consists of 9 sets of 12 facets, totaling 108 facets per side, making a grand total of 216 facets that will be on the finished piece. I use a 600 grit cutting lap to grind in each of the facets. I use a 3000 grit diamond compound on a tin lap to go back over all of the facets. This is the pre-polishing stage. The facets start to shine up, but don't yet have the luster of a fine polish. Cerium oxide on a polishing lap works well for polishing glass, and I go over the facets one more time. The finer polish really helps the colors show. The light coming off the stone shows a rainbow of colors and gives a glimpse of what the finished piece might do. It is already looking really cool, even though it is only halfway done. With the first half finished, I need to transfer dop so that I can facet the other side. I use a large coned dop for attaching to the side I just finished. I only apply glue to the outer edge of the dop and stone for this one. The bond is plenty strong still and will be easier to dissolve the glue later, being only on the outside of the dop. Once set, I can use heat to weaken the bond of the first dop and remove it. Because there is no girdle in this design, the facets on this side will meet directly with the facets of the first half. Starting again with the 600 grit lap, I cut the first set of facets on this side close to the meets, but not fully to them, as the finer grits will bring the facets in a little further. It is the same as when I grind in the table facet on designs with a table. From here, the faceting is done the exact same as the other side of the sphere. The stone slowly takes shape as the remainder of the 108 facets on this side are ground in. Moving through the pre-polish and polish stages, the piece attached to the dop looks to me like some sort of fiery magical stone attached to the top of a wizard staff with some sort of mystical property. Let me know in the comments after you have watched the end clips as well what impressions come to your mind from seeing this piece. The faceting of this piece is now finished. There actually is a small flat spot still left on the second side, which is fine. I will be attaching a peg mount for attaching a sterling silver chain to, and the flat spot will be covered by the mount, and starting the drill hole should be easier on the flat spot. I use a flex shaft rotary tool with some diamond coated bits to drill a small hole in the top of the stone. This isn't something that I am used to doing. This piece is second to a raw topaz crystal that I used to test drilling and attached a peg mount to. I did this with the dop still attached to be able to have a better hold on the piece for drilling. With the hole drilled, I can go ahead and dissolve the glue off in acetone. Now I really hope that whatever they use to bind these prisms together doesn't dissolve. That would be awkward. Here are some shots of it now that the dop is off, and before I mount it, I had a lot of fun faceting this piece with all the color it was putting out. It finished much better than I was expecting, showing a whole array of colors as it is rotated. Now to attach the sterling silver peg mount, next to me is the test topaz that I mentioned. I gave that one away for Christmas. Anyway, I got jeweler's adhesive with a fine applicator tip for adhering the peg mount. I made sure to apply about as much as I could. I don't want the stone coming off the little mount. Once the adhesive has had plenty of time to cure, I put the mount on a sterling silver chain. This way it can be worn as a necklace or hung from other things like my Christmas tree. I actually used an ornament hook here instead of the chain. The chain was a little long. I worked on this piece right before Christmas and it makes a pretty cool ornament. Now let's get into the disco shots that everyone wants to see. I think it is best to just let these shots speak for themselves, so enjoy.